The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show. Real people. Real opinions. Real talk radio. 4FM.
All right, well, as you know, the royal wedding is happening, and RTE have defended their decision to broadcast the upcoming wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, saying that there will be likely a huge public interest in the nuptials, and the coverage is being provided for free. In other words, they're not being charged for it. I mean, there was a concern, of course, that RTE were paying some sort of rights for this, but it's not. It's actually free. They're actually offering it for free out of public interest. Now, RTE will broadcast the royal nuptials live on RTE1 on May the 19th, which is this coming Saturday, a decision which has now sparked great anger on social media among some people. The Sinn Féin Fingal councillor Paul Donnelly described the move as a disgraceful waste of taxpayers' money. Now, with the greatest respect, I would say to Paul, there's probably not that much money being spent on it. They're going to provide their own commentary. How much is it going to cost for a commentator? I don't know who's going to do it, by the way, but I imagine a few £100 probably. Asking, surely there's something happening in Ireland more worthy of our national broadcasting bothering to broadcast. An RTE spokesperson defended the decision, pointing out that it's costing our national broadcaster nothing to air the nuptials, but it's likely to deliver big ratings if Prince William and Kate Middleton's 2011 wedding is anything to go by, and of course Prince Charles and Lady Diana's as well. Now, the spokesperson said the royal wedding is being offered to RTE for free and other public broadcast services as well, free of charge via the BBC, and RTE will provide its own commentary. A spokesperson said that RTE footage will not include a studio set and will simply be a voiceover including pictures and footage. Now, we previously showed, they said, William and Kate's wedding, so this is not the first time RTE has shown a royal wedding. Now, the former Lord Mayor of Belfast, Niall O'Donegal, has called the decision to broadcast the wedding controversial and said RTE should focus on events happening at home here in Ireland. He said the scheduling issue is a matter for RTE, and you can see from the reaction on social media that it's unsurprisingly a bit of a controversial decision. He said, I would rather they would focus on providing a full service and indeed proper coverage right across Ireland before they would be showing events happening in Great Britain. Prince Harry and the US actress Meghan Markle will tie the knot, as you know, in Windsor Castle on May the 19th, this coming Saturday. And meanwhile, a councillor has branded Republicans who intimidated a Donegal hotel into cancelling a royal wedding themed afternoon tea event on Saturday as thugs. The Inishowen Gateway Hotel in Buncrana has advertised the event to coincide with the nuptials of the Prince and his future wife-to-be, and the hotel has launched a Facebook event page to garner a little bit of interest. However, yesterday morning staff were inundated with phone calls from Republicans angry over the event, and by late afternoon the event had been taken down from the hotel's Facebook page and they had to cancel it. So today I want to know if you have an issue with RTE broadcasting the royal wedding. Some people seemingly do, and I'm going to be speaking to Seamus Kelly in a moment, who is a spokesperson for a group called Anti-Imperialist Action Ireland. Posters were erected around Dublin objecting to RTE's coverage of the wedding, and the posters say RTE promoting British imperialism in Ireland. No English royal weddings on RTE. Smash normalisation. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, and do you actually give a crap about the royal wedding? Are you against the idea of RTE covering it? And, you know, do you have an issue with our national broadcaster, the Irish national broadcaster, covering the royal wedding? Let me know what you think at 53544. So, yes, you have a problem with it, or no, you don't see an issue with it at all. Let me know what you think at 53544. Let's take a little vote on this, okay? Do you have a problem with RTE broadcasting the royal wedding? Yes or no? Do you have a problem with it? Let me know what you think. Let's take a little vote. Text yes or no to 53544. Let me go to Seamus Kelly, who is a spokesperson for Anti-Imperialist Action Ireland. Seamus, good afternoon to you.
Good morning to you, Niall.
Seamus, I mean, realistically, what is the objection?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for having us on to give an alternative view on the decision by RTE to broadcast the royal wedding on Saturday. The very fact that we're discussing it here today shows that it's controversial. And what's happened here is RTE have taken a very political decision to broadcast the wedding of Harry Windsor and Meghan Markle on Saturday. And you have to ask, what is the motivation behind that decision? And we would argue that it's all about promoting imperialism in Ireland. It's all about promoting British normalisation in Ireland. Is it not
about, I would argue, it's about ratings?
No, I wouldn't agree. This is a creeping normalisation that's being pushed since 1998.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they broadcast the previous weddings, you know, with Kate and William, the other fella, and also Charles and Diana, which was, of course, a huge event as well. They broadcast them and nobody said anything.
But I don't think that's true. There have been consistent protests at any stage that there's been an English royal visit to Ireland, and protests against normalisation on our airwaves too. I mean, I've been involved in protests over the years particularly, so it's not fair to say that there hasn't been opposition. What we have to think here is, why would RTE decide to take this, and why are the BBC promoting this for free around the world? And the answer is cultural imperialism. They're trying to promote...
Is it not because there's a huge public interest rather than just promoting imperialism?
Why is there a public interest? Because people have been conditioned to think that the situation between Ireland and Britain is normal.
No, it's because they're celebrities more than anything else, Seamus, I would imagine. I mean, no smaller than the Kardashians, for example. You know, if the Kardashians were getting married, I imagine that would be probably on the television as well. They've become these individuals. Don't get me wrong, I don't particularly agree with the royal family. Mind you, they bring in quite a substantial revenue to the UK in tourism, but I think it's a bit of an outdated situation. But in saying that, there's a huge interest in their lives. People just seem to have an interest in celebrities' lives, royals' lives, not just the British royalty, other royalty as well, in Monaco and other places like that as well. So, I mean, they're just an interest in their lives.
No, I disagree. What you're having here is the British government are still occupying 6 counties in Ireland. And what this wedding is about, showing it in RTE, is about making it look as if that's completely normal, and that anybody objects to it is stuck in the past, when the reality is that's not true. It's an ongoing situation.
But does it not suggest that some people are stuck in the past and the bigotry is still alive and well?
Absolutely not. Nobody's here stuck in the past. We'd argue that this is a very current situation. You have Britain continuing to commit crimes in Ireland. Number one, the military occupation of the 6 counties. Number two, internment without trial, such as Tony Taylor, who's been held in Maghaberry prison on the whim of the British Secretary of State. So these are very current issues that people have that aren't stuck in the past. And bigotry, I think, would come firmly from the British Imperialist side rather than the Irish side.
But I mean, the British Broadcasting Corporation in itself, I suppose, stands for everything that Britain stands for. It's quite patriotic in the way it stands and the way it broadcasts, and yet we don't seem to have an issue with us sitting down and watching that every evening. When you look at, we watch things like Britain's Got Talent, we watch Man United play Liverpool. These are all very British things, and yet Absolutely. I'm sure, Seamus, you don't have an issue with that.
Well, what I'd argue is that's all a factor of cultural imperialism. The very fact that people in Ireland would be supporting British teams, would be watching English soap dramas, that's all part of promoting apathy and distraction in Ireland.
Well, it's about entertainment, isn't it? I mean, we like American and British entertainment because we're limited.
Why? Because they're the dominant imperialist culture.
No, it's something to do with that. It's because we're limited to the amount of homegrown programmes we can actually produce. If we could produce enough, we wouldn't have to watch them.
I don't agree. We deliberately don't produce things in this country to suit the imperialist agenda.
But it's not deliberate. We don't have the money. Did you see how much money RTE lost last year? We don't have the money. I mean, we've had a couple of good programmes over the years, like Love, Hate and stuff like that, which were, Irish produced programmes. But in saying that, we don't have the money to continue to constantly do that all the time. So we rely very much on British television, American television, for our entertainment. No, Same goes for football.
No. This is deliberate. You have to understand that it's been a political decision taken by RTE to broadcast this wedding. It's not just about ratings. It's not just about entertainment. It's to promote imperialism in Ireland and in broader context and promote imperialism across the world.
RTE know if they don't broadcast this wedding right on Saturday, people will turn to the BBC or to Sky Television to watch it instead because there's genuinely a huge interest in it.
But there's a significant difference to somebody watching a wedding on a British channel or watching it online to the States broadcaster deciding to
okay, but the point but listen to the point I'm trying to make is if RTE don't show it, all of a sudden they will lose their audience, the BBC and Sky. They need to make advertising revenue, so they will have advertising running throughout this particular broadcast. It's not costing them anything.
What would they have shown if the wedding wasn't on? They would have had programming anyway. So
yeah, but nobody would have been watching it. But nobody would have been watching it.
I'm sure people watch RTE on a Saturday morning every week.
Now, don't get me wrong, I would have no interest in watching the royal wedding, but I know, for example, it's majority female audience probably watching it. I know, for example, Helena here, my producer, she's invited a few friends around. You just heard our newsreader a few minutes ago mention that she'll be watching it. I mean, there are people watching it of interest. It's nothing to do with the fact that they're promoting British imperialism.
Well,
they just watch it because they're like weddings.
I disagree. You see, this is a creeping imperialism, a creeping normalisation that has made it okay to promote Britain in Ireland, and people don't see it as an issue because there's no alternative voice being raised on a mass level, and that's why bringing the likes of us on today is important, to give people that alternative view. People think it's just a wedding. People say it's just about ratings. It's not. This is a very clever political decision to normalise British rule in Ireland.
I would imagine that the editor in RTE or whoever the programme content director probably thought, look, we're getting it for nothing. We can sell a bit of advertising on it. It'll cost us a couple of £100 to have somebody commentating on it. They're not spending money on it. And sure, we'll keep the ratings.
RTE is a state broadcaster. So
that's right.
It's a political decision. This is reflective of the political elite in the 26 county state causing up to British imperialism. It's reflected now in the broadcasting of English royal weddings on RTE. There's a much wider agenda here.
Is it just the royal wedding that you have an issue with, Seamus, or that your organisation have an issue with?
No, we have an issue with imperialism in Ireland and around the world.
No, I mean in relation to broadcasting. Is it just the royal wedding you have a problem with, or do you have a problem with all British broadcasting?
No, of course I don't have a problem with British broadcasting. People are quite entitled. BBC is quite entitled to broadcast what they like. But you have to understand why it's being broadcast.
No, but I'm asking you, for example, when Irish television stations, say, show EastEnders or Coronation Street, which would be very British, or show English sporting events or, unique English sporting events like cricket or Wimbledon or that kind of stuff, which would be very British. Do you have issues with those?
No, I mean, they don't float my boat, but people are entitled to watch what they like. It's completely different when it's a political event. The English royal family are a very political family. They make an illegal claim over Ireland to hold 6 counties as their own. So it's a very political decision. We don't have people in Coronation Street claiming to have sovereignty over Ireland. It's not the same.
Well, will you have an issue with TV3 because they're showing it too, I believe?
TV3 are an English company, basically. I mean, they're
Virgin Media, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I would have an issue with TV3's broadcasting on a lot of issues.
But it is a private company, and
it's a private company, and it's a British company in Ireland. It's completely different for a state broadcaster to take the decision to show an English royal wedding.
I mean, somebody says, I'm going to read out some of the texts here for you, right? And you can decide what you want to do with them. Niall asked Mr. Ireland there, does he have any problem watching RTE 1 and 2? Or does he only watch RTE 1 and 2 and TV3? Well, he obviously said that TV3 is a British company. But do you only watch RTE 1 and 2?
No, of course not.
All right, okay. RTE have no business airing this. Did any British channels air any of the 1916 centenary celebrations? No, they didn't. If someone wants to watch it, turn to the BBC and be done with it. Another person says, now I'll ask that fella, how much advertising does Fáilte Ireland do in the UK to bring in tourism? Another person, obviously they're talking about the fact that I suppose it shows that we stand shoulder to shoulder with Britain when it comes to tourism, to encourage tourism to this country, that we would like them to do something similar for us. If we had, well, we don't have royal weddings, obviously, but we would have, I don't know, what we would have that they might want to broadcast. RT broadcasts a lot of international events specific to individual nations, but they're still of interest to the Irish. I don't view this wedding as any different. Another person says, God, your man is gas now. My shares in tinfoil are rocketing, says Martin in Limerick. Another person says, promoting imperialism. This guy is the reason. Oh, they're scrolling past here so fast. Hard for me to read them. This guy is the reason we should promote more mental health awareness, says Kieran in Limerick. Another person says, Niall, I have a solution for this, man. If you look on the television set, there's a little button and it says off. Well, I suppose that's a fair point, isn't it? If you don't want to watch it, just don't watch it. But Seamus telling other people to do it.
It's much broader than that, Niall. It's not just about watching the programme or not. This is about a much wider context of imperialism in Ireland, which people.
Well, I think you're looking into this too deeply, Seamus.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, imperialism is a reality in Ireland. As I've already said, there's 6 counties still under a British military.
Do you consider yourself Republican? Are you Republican?
I'm a socialist Republican.
All right, okay. So you're never going to be happy unless you get a united Ireland.
Absolutely not. I mean, we have a right to an Irish Republic in this country. It was voted overwhelmingly in 1918 by the people, and that's the last time we had a democratic vote in this country. Well,
we could argue with that for about another 45 minutes as to whether that would be a good idea, bad idea, financially or otherwise. But we don't have time for that on the show. But I can't honestly, and you know as well as I do, Seamus, in your lifetime and my lifetime, even though you might think it's coming closer because of Brexit, I can't see United Ireland.
Well, what you have here is this is the deliberate opportunity now by imperialism in Ireland and by the 26 county elite, by RTE, to prevent people supporting.
Are you not promoting sectarianism in some sense, or promoting?
Absolutely not.
But because all you're saying is that we shouldn't be friends. You know what I mean? I mean,
I'm not though, Noel.
We've seen Martin McGuinness shake the hand of the Queen. You must have shuddered in your boots when you saw that.
The English royal family are an archaic institution that believe they have a supernatural right to rule over others. And I think there are plenty of English working class, Scottish and Welsh, who are just as opposed to the English royal family as I am, and people in Ireland are. So this has absolutely nothing to do with religion or bigotry against English people. I'd imagine an awful lot of English people won't be watching on Saturday either, because these are a parasitic family who get the tax funds off ordinary workers in England.
Yeah, but there's been huge, investigations into whether it's worth actually having a royal family, and not just the royal family. By the way, you've got dukes and lords and everybody else who gets paid as well off the state, right? And in saying that, they worked it out. They are financially viable, because the amount of tourism that Britain gets, people just wanting to see Windsor Castle, etc.
Who has a right from the divine right of kings? Do you accept?
But with the greatest respect, Seamus, it's none of our business what the British want to do when it comes to the royal family.
It is when they claim illegal sovereignty over Ireland.
Okay, but when you watch, Martin McGuinness shaking the hand of the Queen, what did you think?
I wouldn't have done it, but I'm not a member of Sinn Féin. That's for themselves.
But do you not think that was a good move, a good step in the right direction?
Absolutely not.
Look at the Irish companies, for example, particularly small businesses in this country. 85% are small businesses who rely on exports and imports to Great Britain. Do you not think that the British are very valuable to us? We'd be snookered without them, pretty much, actually. I mean, we can have a proper 85% of our exports go to Britain. You know that, don't you?
When Britain stops claiming illegal sovereignty over Ireland, we can have a proper relationship with them. Until then, it's an imperialist.
We have a proper relationship. You don't, Seamus. But hang on, from a business point of view, we have a very good relationship with them. As I said to you, the majority of our exports go to Britain, so we have a great relationship with them.
The 26 county state is a neo-colony of imperialism, both British, US and European. So what you're talking about is capitalist domination of Ireland through business, through British companies, through American companies.
But that's because we're a small independent nation. We couldn't survive on our own.
Well, there is no independent Ireland.
No, you're right, there isn't. We've had 100 years of independence, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to do it. We've had the church running the country for quite a substantial amount at that time. But in saying that, we're a small independent nation with a reasonably small population.
We don't have an independent nation. As I said, there's a British occupation in 6 counties, and the 26 counties.
Well, the 26 counties are independent.
They aren't. They're completely dominated by British.
Europe actually. But they're dominated by Europe, yeah.
Imperialism, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we signed up for it. We voted for it. You mightn't have, Seamus, but a lot of people did. Unless you're suggesting Ireland should Brexit or exit, as they call it.
To stick on the topic at hand, though, before we become sidelined, this is absolutely a political decision by the state, by RTE, to distract people from the national question. What's attempting to be done here is to suggest that there's absolutely no issue with Britain having an occupation in the 6 counties, and we should all just forget about it and move on. But that's not the reality. When people are being held in jail illegally by the British Secretary of State, when there's British soldiers still on the streets of the 6 counties despite what's claimed, that's something that can't be moved on from. And it'd be interesting if you asked people in the occupied 6 counties what they thought of the RTE showing this wedding. I think you'd get a completely different view than you might of some of the people down there.
Well, I would imagine you get a 50-50 split on it, probably.
That are conditioned into supporting British imperialism in the 26 counties.
Well, you'll probably get a split 50-50 on it somewhere along the line. OK, but stay there for a second, please, if you can. Seamus Kelly is a spokesperson for the Anti-Imperialist Action Ireland, and he objects to RTE. I know TV3, people are texting and say TV3 are showing it as well, but they are a private company. They can pretty much do what they want. RTE, of course, is the national broadcaster. He's objecting to RTE broadcasting the royal wedding this coming Saturday. James, you're on Classic Hits. James, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Niall.
How you doing, James? Yeah, you too. James, will you be watching it?
Oh, yes, front seat, Niall.
Would you?
Front seat.
Be something that would appeal to me,
I have an invitation myself.
Right. Okay, but I mean, what do you... I mean, James, James, you're a patriot. You've been on the show before. You are a bit of a patriot. Okay, so, I mean, because you speak up for the Irish language on a regular basis. So, I mean, you've heard what Seamus says. He believes that all this does is promote British imperialism.
No, I don't go with that. Now we have to be realistic. Down here now in my own county of Cork, in the city, there's as many young fellas running around the street with Manchester United jerseys. There actually are more young fellas running around the street here in Cork with Manchester United and Liverpool jerseys than they have their own county colours of Cork, the GA team.
Well, I don't think Seamus pretty much has a problem with the culture, the British culture. Well, maybe he does, but more so this imperialism, the monarchy.
Oh, I have no problem with the monarchy, none at all. I have great admiration for the Queen herself, great old lady. There's great love for her in Great Britain. I disagree with you.
She came to Cork when she was over, yeah, she did. She walked through the streets of Cork shaking hands with people, didn't
she? I saw it myself. I was here and I saw it. People were delighted to see her. No, I don't go along with... What's the name of that gentleman again now?
Seamus Kelly.
Yes, he's my
very
name.
Irish name, actually, yeah.
But I don't go along with it. No, I think we have to move on now. Niall, and try and get on well together. I personally, Niall, even though I'm a patriot who said, I personally don't want to see United Ireland.
Oh, you don't want to see United Ireland?
No. I'm quite happy that the 6 counties are looked after Great Britain financially and otherwise, because I don't want to have anything to do with those particular people in Northern Ireland.
Why?
No, because it would be similar to, hypothetically, incorporating into your country. It's like the Palestinians and the Jewish problem, because they hate each other now. Both communities.
Well, there is still sectarianism, yes. There is individuals who hate each other.
Down here,
I don't believe they all hate each other, to be honest with James. I think there is individuals that hate each other.
No, there's a strong dislike now. I mean, for example, there's nobody. There are walls up there still now between the communities.
It's changed a lot. I'm up there every single weekend. I'm in Belfast, and it's changed a lot. And friends of mine who live in that area and who live on the outskirts of Belfast said that 25 years ago when they moved up there, that things were very different. You daren't speak with a southern accent, but they said that's not a problem now. And you'd even check your car 25 years ago when you come back if you had a southern registration. But things have changed drastically now. People I don't think as many people care anymore.
Well, I don't know about that now. You watch people like Arlene Foster and then the hardline DUP to see why still are the people in Northern Ireland voting on both sides for hardline extremist groups. Like the representatives of the Loyalists are the DUP. They're a hardline extremist group. And the people on the Nationalists have got rid of all the midline people like Sinn Féin, and they're voting Sinn Féin.
Yeah, I understand the point you made. You're either with us or without us. And there is a direct split in the north when it comes to the idea that Seamus was talking about a United Ireland. But as Seamus is right, I don't want to get too sidetracked into that. Okay, but getting back to the royal wedding, so you just see it as entertainment more than anything else?
Yes, and a lot of people really watch it. And as you said yourself, that you don't have to watch it. You can switch off and watch something else instead.
But see, that's not good enough for Seamus. Sorry, Seamus, you can respond to that if you want to. But I don't think that's good enough for Seamus that you switch off.
Niall, if you don't mind, I'd just like to come in and say James is exactly the typical Free State mentality that I was explaining, that's completely conditioned and a slavish mindset towards British imperialism. You've heard him there say, first of all, he doesn't really care about the occupied 6 counties. So it's the typical mindset of abandoned.
But a lot of people don't, Seamus. But Seamus, you're oblivious to the fact that there are a lot of people, particularly young people, who couldn't care less about the 6 counties. When I say they couldn't care less, they don't care whether there's a United Ireland. The majority of young people in this country, if I ask them to vote, do you care? They probably don't.
I don't accept that. No. I don't accept that at all.
No.
James is throwing in a red herring there around sporting tops, Manchester United jerseys, and the likes of this, as if this is something that people should be keelhauled for. But I have no problem with people supporting football teams or things like that. But what you have to understand is why do Irish people support English football teams? And the reality is because of the imperialist relationship we've had in this country.
No, because they feel it's better quality. No, they feel it's better quality.
No, because
and it's supported more, and it's more. I suppose it's more marketable.
England has viewed Ireland as a province, and Ireland.
No, Seamus. No. With the greatest respect, Seamus, I've listened to you so far for the last 20 minutes, but this is a silly point. The reason people watch British football and Man United and Liverpool is because these teams are paying massive amounts of money for very skilled footballers.
Yeah,
absolutely,
all over the world. But the point is,
nothing to do with Britishness.
Of course it is. The reason that Ireland doesn't have a proper football system is because it's an occupied country. Why don't we have one united Irish football team? Because there's a British occupation in the north and there's a 26 county Free State here. There should be one Irish football team. There should be one Ireland.
Okay, well, stay there for a second. Keep texting 53544. That's 53544. I'm going to go to a break in a second, but a lot of people want to talk to Seamus. But Padraig, you agree with him? Hello, Padraig.
How are you doing, Niall?
You agree with Seamus?
I concur 100% with Seamus, but I do recognise that his view and my view are now very much the minority in this country. Having said that, I can tell you one thing, Niall. If the shoe was on the other foot, and this was an Irish wedding or the equivalent of the royal, and I can assure you the English people, if this country sank tomorrow, the British couldn't care less, to be quite honest. And it's just the obsession, generally, not just with this wedding, but with Coronation Street, Man United and all the rest of it. I say at least 70% of the Irish people are probably going to be watching this hogwash because years ago they've sold their souls.
Well, you've just said it, 70% of people want to watch it.
will probably show an interest in it. I personally won't. I'll be one of the minority that won't.
Well, Seamus, sorry to answer you, Seamus. I don't know why, because I wouldn't be interested. But in saying that,
is cultural imperialism.
No, that's not the answer. Because let me just ask somebody very quickly who is going to be watching it. Right? Hold on a second. Hang on. My producer, Helena. There she is. Hello. Helena. Yes. Sorry, she's outside. Helena, why you're watching this? You're all excited about it, right?
Yeah.
Why are you watching it?
I don't know. It's a bit of a. I don't know. It's just excitement. It's a wedding. It's fun. It's glitz. It's glam. I suppose that's the reason I'm watching it.
Is it the little girl thing, as Tara said, about little girls wanting to be a princess?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that sounds a little bit kind of bad for feminism, I suppose. But yeah.
Okay, so there you go. It's just the glitz, the glam, the excitement.
That's the point. That's the conditioning that people are being put through. That's the mindset that imperialism.
I don't think Helene is conditioned into anything.
Of course she's conditioned. Everyone that's gone through school here, everyone that's watched national broadcasters, that have read the papers, everything is told that the relationship between Ireland and Britain is normal, when the reality is it isn't.
But to her watching, hang on, her watching this has nothing to do with the relationship between Ireland and England. It's just that it's an exciting entertainment wedding with glitz and glam and a nice big dress.
I fundamentally disagree with you. Of course it's got to do with the relationship between Ireland and Britain.
Okay, well, do me a favour, stay there for a second, Seamus and Padraig as well, because I wanted to speak to Francis after the break as well. Loads of people texting in, a huge amount of interest in this topic. I won't read out some of the insults that are being directed towards Seamus, but there is a little bit of support from him as well. So he says, Niall, what book of socialist vocabulary has your man swallowed? It's like he's been cloned and conditioned himself, says Martin Limerick. GAA is being shown on Sky Sports, Niall. What's he talking about? Football teams are private businesses made up of nationalities and religions, not fair to compare to the monarchy. Another person says, ask that man, has he been to Derry recently? Totally agree with the latest caller from Cork. To somebody else, another person says, no, Seamus actually has a point, but nobody's really listening to him because unfortunately he's now in the minority. We are now socially conditioned to be almost British. Let me know what you think at 53544. Will you be watching the royal wedding? And the issue Seamus has is not about you watching the royal wedding, by the way. Far away and watch it as far as he's concerned. But he doesn't believe that RTE, the national broadcaster, paid for by the taxpayer of this country to the tune of €160 a pop per person in this country, should be broadcasting it. What age is Seamus? He sounds 101. He has an inferiority complex about his culture and contentions. The last refuge. We're all Dutchmen now anyway, says Christopher. Whereas there's not, if this guy was objecting to a wedding of an African princess and a prince, you would have shut him off by now and said he was racist. Just because we are white does not excuse his highly racist views. Please cut him off the air now. I find him extremely offensive. They're certainly not racist views. They could be accused of being bigoted views, and I certainly will not cut him off because everybody's entitled to a point of view just because you don't believe so. Another person says the plastic paddies only support English clubs because they're stupid enough to pay a fortune for polyester jerseys and made for sense. Seamus says, you know what? The government can't run the 26 counties we have, so why would they want to take back the other 6? Okay, keep texting 53544. Well, Padraig agrees with Seamus and thinks, as a patriot, we shouldn't be shown the royal wedding on RTE. Francis, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Francis? Oh, sorry, Francis. I need to switch you back on there. I apologise. Sorry, Francis. Go ahead.
Hi, Niall.
Go ahead.
I just think it's nonsense what Seamus is talking about. I think he's taken it way over the top, and his views are very bigoted. At the end of the day, it's been shown on the TV. People are just seeing it as entertainment. They'll be watching what people are wearing.
It's pompous, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite pompous.
That's all it is.
But it is very British. You can't take that away from it.
Oh, no, but that's half of it. You see how the other half lives or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like he's thinking too much into it. I think he needs to get a hobby or something, you know?
He needs to get a hobby. But do you not think, I mean, obviously he feels quite passionate about, I'm not taking that away from him. He is quite passionate. He knows his stuff.
He is passionate about it, but he's very bigoted in his views, you know?
Was he living in the past?
Yes, he is. People have moved on since then. If it happens, it happens. But, for most people, their view in this is just television. It's entertainment, and that's it. They're not thinking politics or anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, Seamus, that the majority of people sitting down to watch this on Saturday afternoon are not thinking politics. They're not thinking about our relationship with Britain. They're not thinking about the 6 counties or the men that happen to be in prison. They're not thinking about, what happened in 1916 or what happened in the past. They're not thinking of those things, Seamus. They're thinking about, I wonder who made her dress. Give us a look at her ring.
But that's how cultural imperialism works, Niall.
There's
different forms of imperialism.
That's how the world works.
No. There's different forms of imperialism. There's the direct military intervention, such as we see in the Middle East. There's the military occupation in the north. But there's also different things like economic imperialism, which you were mentioning earlier, about how this 26-county state is totally reliant on Britain and Europe. But then there's also cultural imperialism.
You want it to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely, but the point is that this is cultural imperialism makes it seem absolutely normal that there's nothing wrong with what's going on in the 6 counties. There's nothing what's wrong what British imperialism is doing all over the world. It's just great to watch them, and sure, aren't they in nice clothes, and don't worry about the people that they're shooting in Syria or in Yemen, or Harry himself, who was an active British soldier in Afghanistan. Don't worry about the people he's killed. It's all grand, and sure, they have a nice dress on. That's cultural imperialism.
Would you equally object to, say, the inauguration of Donald Trump being broadcast?
Absolutely.
Right, and you would equally object to anything else that suggests, or any other part of America, particularly America and the UK?
Anything to do with imperialism. As I said, people are ordinary English people.
But these
What
things.
do you agree with, Seamus?
But these things are news. I mean, when you talk about the inauguration of Donald Trump, which was last February, I mean, it's world news.
That's reporting on it is completely different than broadcasting it. You know, this is going to be broadcast without comment.
But it was but the Donald Trump inauguration was broadcast on RTE.
And why?
Because it's news.
Interesting.
But what it is why aren't there inaugurations broadcast of maybe...
RTE's, what's RTE's... Okay, what is RTE's remit? Do you understand RTE's remit? It's a public service broadcaster. It doesn't say...
broadcaster.
Okay, yeah, state broadcaster. It doesn't say patriotic public service broadcaster and only things that happen in Ireland. It's a public service broadcaster. So if the public... Now, let me finish. If the public wants something and there's an interest in it, RTE have a responsibility to provide it.
And why don't they do that then?
Well, they are doing it on Saturday.
There was massive public anger at the water tax, for example, and RTE completely ignored the protest.
But you're jumping from one thing to another.
No, you're saying that
I'm not going to disagree with you completely in relation to maybe there is bias sometimes. Absolutely, I'm not going to disagree with you. Okay, but what I'm saying to you is RTE is a public broadcaster. They're an Irish public broadcaster, public service broadcaster. So their job is to provide what Irish people want. And on this particular day, the majority of Irish people, I know you don't seem to like it, want to see this wedding.
And I'm asking, why do the majority of people want to see this wedding? And the answer is imperialism, and how Irish people have been conditioned to look to Britain as our superiors.
Do you believe, Francis, you're under some sort of British rule because you want to watch this wedding?
No. I don't know where this guy is coming from. He's living in the past.
But he's not the only one. Can I point out as well that
Francis.
Does he not think that
Sinn Féin have said the same thing, by the way?
Are we not intelligent enough to make our own decisions? That we're conditioned. Is he not conditioned in his thinking? Is there a difference?
You could argue that you've been conditioned as well into this kind of republicanism, Seamus.
Absolutely not. I mean, conditioning is what's happening here is the conditioning of people to watch the English royal wedding is a long process that's been going on.
Hang on, just because you don't like it and you don't agree with it, I could have that same argument with you that you've been conditioned to
Francis, you're saying this is in the past, okay? You've made a claim there that this is in the past, and I'd like to know what you're referring to when you say it's in the past. Because if you're referring to the occupation of Ireland by Britain, it's very live, it's very current.
It is very live and very current, and you're talking to somebody, I know all about it. My father's from Belfast, so you don't need to preach to me.
Well then, how is it in the past? I'm not preaching it.
I'm
not trying to preach to you. I'm asking you to claim it's in the past.
Will.
It's
and they can watch it if they choose to watch it. And if RTE think they have an audience, well then, so be it.
The state broadcaster to broadcast the English royal wedding is absolutely a political decision. And the reason they're doing it is to normalise the occupation of Ireland. It's as simple as that.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit there. I think you really are overthinking why they're showing it. But in any case, another person said, I wonder if he's wearing any clothes made in the Imperial sweatshop or using any technology produced in the Imperial countries. Another person says, the whole country came to a standstill to watch Diana's funeral because they want to be part of it. Another person says, why is he speaking English to you now? Do you speak Irish? Do you, Seamus?
I can.
Do you? I don't, so we're not going to conduct the interview in Irish. But do you speak fluent Irish?
I've very good standard. I went to an Irish language school. So.
All right, okay. Stay there for a second. In answer to the texter, I'm pretty sure if he was on TG Carr, he probably would be speaking Irish. Okay, let me go to Sharon. Sharon, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Sharon?
Hi, Niall. Hi. I mean, I just I'm British, okay? I live in Ireland. I love Ireland. I love England. I'm not a great royalist. But in today's culture, there's some ridiculous desire for everyone to know what everybody else is doing. Reality TV, Hello Magazine, all these things that pry into the world of mainly the rich and famous.
Pop culture,
now,
yes.
Take apart from the fact that the royals are the royals, they're also incredibly famous. Harry, bless him, he spent his life doing good works and charity, and he's around the world doing fantastic things, and I think he's actually a credit to Britain. I'm not a royalist, but why people want to have a look. I probably won't be watching. I'm not desperate to watch it. I'll have a quick look at it. But if the people want to see it, I don't think there's anything dictating to Ireland that this is pushing the English upon them. And surely the best way to keep looking to form better relationships is to be less confrontational and be seen to be working together to find, common solutions.
Well, let me put that, Seamus, just before the break. Seamus, are you not being confrontational for the sake of it? Do you not believe that your views are outdated and bigoted? And you can respond to that if you want to. I mean, do you not think this idea of being confrontational and drawing a divide between Britain and Ireland serves absolutely no purpose currently at this moment in time?
Drawing the divide, Noel. Britain, by illegally claiming sovereignty over 6 Irish counties, is drawing the divide.
But okay, that we understand that, and look, let's not never forget our history, right?
History.
And we understand that there's an awkward situation, and that's probably, to be honest with you, not even the best way to describe it. It's an awkward situation that neither the British nor the Irish can resolve right away, because we have two populations in Northern Ireland where you have obviously people who want to be British and you obviously people who want to be Irish, and both of those people will never ever agree on what we should do. So we have to wait, and we have to approach that.
That's not the reality.
But we have to approach that with caution. But hang on, Seamus. What has happened?
If Britain was to withdraw, Ireland could exercise self-determination.
Do you believe if Britain withdrew from Northern Ireland, there wouldn't be civil war?
I believe that there would be. Obviously, some loyalist paramilitaries would want to kick off, but they're directed by Britain.
But you have to have respect. There's a history there now.
Organises them.
But hang on, there is a history there now, and you have to respect the population of Northern Ireland. The population of Northern Ireland is made up roughly 50-50, right? Because they did do a poll in the Belfast Telegraph not so long ago, where 51% of people said they would vote to be part of Britain. But
what you're talking about is the unionist veto. Britain has no right to be in Ireland, and unionism has no right to be.
I understand where you're coming from, Seamus, but it's not something that's going to be resolved overnight. But do me a favour, just stay there for a second, Seamus, please, if you can, and Francis, and also Sharon. Mike wants to come on in a second and defend Seamus. Keep texting 53544. That's 53544. Do you have an issue with RTE, the national broadcaster, showing the royal wedding this Saturday? Seamus does, and he's a spokesperson for Anti-Imperialist Action. Let me know what you think. Stay there, please, Sharon. Stay there, Seamus, who is a spokesperson for Anti-Imperialist Action Ireland. And let me go to Mike. Mike, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Niall. How are you getting on?
Good.
First of all, I just want to come on and say I'm not coming on here to defend Seamus. I'm coming on with my own opinion. So, my opinion is, last Saturday evening, the hurling started back. Galway were defending their All-Ireland title against Offaly, and RTE didn't see fit to show that game. But they see fit to show a royal wedding, which has absolutely nothing got to do with us. That is just my view. I just think it's wrong on RTE's behalf. You were saying there that RTE are a public service provider and that people want to see the royal wedding. Well, there was thousands of people that couldn't make the match in Tullamore last Saturday evening from Offaly and Galway. Wouldn't get to see that game. So I just think it's a disgrace.
Well, I don't, and as you well know, probably if you listen to the show, I'm not a sporting person, don't know much about the match, but I'm not going to deny the fact that you know your stuff. And yeah, there may have been certainly a hunger to watch that match in RTE, and for whatever financial decision, they didn't show it. And I do understand in relation to, say, showing a match probably costs an awful lot more money, because there would have had to be rights to the match. They would have had to set a crew down, set up cameras. Whereas this wedding is costing them nothing, Mike.
Sorry for nothing. I'd say it would cost a lot more to send a crew over to England.
No. Let's be clear about this. RTE made a statement today. It's costing them nothing. They are taking the feed from Britain. The BBC are offering this free to every television station in the world.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. But I still would like to make the point that the All-Ireland champion I can guarantee you, if Dublin were defending their football title on a Saturday evening, RTE would show it.
Well, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny it.
I'm only. I actually didn't go to the game.
I think you have a fair argument. But Mike, I think you have a fair argument in relation to the match, and yes, it probably should have been shown. But I think putting the two together is a little bit unfair, because there is equally, an appetite to watch this wedding, because even if Seamus doesn't like the idea, there is an appetite.
Well, that's understandable enough, but at the end of the day, our national sport, which we're very proud of, and which is on Sky Sports now at the moment, and it's shown all over the world. You cannot, and it wasn't shown on RTE on Saturday evening. I just think it's an absolute disgrace,
It's been shown, by the way. Our national sport has now been shown in Britain as well on Sky TV.
It is, yeah. And let me just make
I'm pretty sure the die-hard Patriots in Britain might have no objection to that.
Well, when they showed the first two games on Sky Sports, there was a lot of smart tweets coming in from English people saying, "Look at these crazy Irish guys swinging hurling, hitting one another."
Well, I think for anybody who's never seen hurling before, they probably would think it's a bit crazy looking. Well, okay, well, look, I don't have a huge amount of time. Sharon, are you going to watch this wedding?
I'm not totally sure. I wouldn't change important plans for it. I'd probably Sky Plus it and watch it later. It's not of great, massive importance to me. But I mean, dear God, RTE shows EastEnders. Okay, isn't it fair enough for the Irish to get a view of the different ends of British, people? EastEnders is, these hard nuts in not particularly nice lives, and then there's something real. The royalty now are not the royalty of olden times. Harry's against everybody's wishes, marrying somebody that technically wouldn't be suitable, but the royals have moved forwards, and actually one of their big things is that they move forwards, and they're trying to be productive in establishing peace and helping charities and everything else. We've moved on from the royals of old. I'm not desperately excited or disappointed in it.
All right, well, just very quickly, because Seamus, I'm running out of time. So Seamus, what's the next step for the Anti-Imperialist Action Ireland? What are they going to do?
Well, we'll continue to oppose imperialism in Ireland, and we'll continue
With regards to the wedding, are you going to set up a protest on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning outside RTE?
No, there's posters going up across the city, and there's posters. There's other events taking place on Saturday. But in reality, what we wanted to highlight is the political decision that was taken to show this wedding, because it is about cultural imperialism, and every person who's come on to oppose me has actually made those points for me themselves.
Okay, so you're encouraging other people like you to complain to RTE and ask them not to show it?
Absolutely.
All right, listen, Seamus, thanks very much for taking the call from us. All right,
The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show. Real people. Real opinions. Real talk radio. 4